You're watching Horizon League basketball on ESPN+. We welcome you to the Nutter Center. Tonight, the Wright State Raiders out of the Horizon League taking on the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers out of Conference USA. Along with Justin Kinner, I'm Chris Collins. And tonight's matchup, you look at these two teams, 7-3. Are the Hilltoppers. Wright State comes in at 4-5. The Hilltoppers have won 3 in a row. They've won 2 out of 3 on the road this year so far, Justin.
Yeah, look, I'm really looking forward to this matchup because you have two teams right now who are still trying to figure themselves out a bit. Conference USA team in Western Kentucky, conference season coming up around the corner. Same thing for Wright State out of the Horizon League. Wright State has an opportunity, Chris, today to get to 500 for the first time all season. Technically 0-0 to start the year, but they haven't been 500 since the season tipped off. A big opportunity to start building that momentum heading into conference play. All
right, what about the players to watch for tonight's game?
Absolutely. Let's start with Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky led by Don McHenry. Don McHenry just having a monster season. Look, this is a team that has a lot of transfers on it, but Don McHenry has stepped up as the team's leading scorer. Look for him to have a big night tonight against the Raiders. As far as the Wright State Raiders are concerned, well, this is a name everyone's familiar with. Trey Calvin does a little bit of everything. He facilitates the ball. He can take you off the dribble. He, of course, could shoot the three. He's had some slow first halves over the last couple of games. Look for him to set the tone early offensively for the Raiders.
All right, let's get to the starting lineups tonight. Western Kentucky and Wright State. All right, let's go with the visitors. Western Kentucky University with a record of 7-3 under first season head coach Steve Letts, former head coach at Texas A&M Corpus Christi. He will go with his starting five. Don McHenry is his leading scorer, averaging 13.6 a game. Kristen Lander, Babacar Faye, Brandon Newman, an excellent three-point shooter, and Tyrone Marshall Jr. Now for the Wright State Raiders, eighth-year head coach Scott Nagy stays with his starting five. Trey Calvin averaging 20 points per game, had 20 last year in the matchup against the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Alex Hubrick to the backcourt, along with Tanner Holden. Up front will be A.J. Braun and Brandon Knowles. So we're ready for action along with Justin Kinner. This is Chris Collins welcoming you to the Nutter Center tonight for the matchup between Wright State out of the Horizon League and from Conference USA, Western Kentucky. This is the fourth and final game of the contract between these two teams. Western Kentucky has taken 2 of the first 3.
Yeah, right now, and again, I don't think Wright State, when you think about the previous matchups, I don't think that is even in their minds at all right now. They have a chance to get to 500 for the first time, and with only 3 non-conference games, including this one remaining before Horizon League play, getting to 500, getting above 500 to take momentum into Horizon League play is going to be key. Really looking forward to see how Wright State starts out, and I love the jerseys, by the way. I love the new jerseys.
Yeah, the Raiders wore these in their nationally televised game at Indiana earlier this season. Brandon Knoll, he will jump center for Wright State, and we are underway, and the tap is controlled by the Raiders. Western Kentucky is a team that has their here's a tear up and good by Alex Hubrick's on the cut. But I was going to say that they really put a lot of ball pressure on. The Raiders went backdoor and take an early 2-0 lead. Here's Marshall with it, still with it at the high post. He'll get the ball up to Lander. Lander, spin move on Hubrick's. Now it's Marshall. Marshall, little scoop shot, misses it. Rebound, A.J. Braun. Rebounding will be a key for the Raiders tonight. Hubrick's to the middle of the floor. McHenry pressuring him. Back to Trey Calvin. Calvin takes it into the paint. A little floater is good. It's an early 4-0 Wright State advantage.
Love seeing Calvin getting involved in the offense early. He's had some slow first halves the last couple of games. Obviously already off to a much better start.
They like to play at a high pace. Here's Newman for 3. It is off, and another rebound for Braun. They don't take a lot of time in their offense. They like to shoot it quick. And back comes Calvin. He dishes it in the corner to Holden. Holden dribbling to the right lane line in the paint. Back out to Knoll. Knoll jump stop at the lane line. Defended back out front. Wright State's Holden with it on the right wing. It's A.J. Braun. Braun looking for Hubrick's, looking for a cutter. Hubrick's with 10 on the shot clock. Hubrick's driving at the right lane line, needs some help. He feeds it back to Calvin. Calvin gets his man in the air, steps inside the three-point line and knocks it down.
Chris, I don't know about you, but there's a different energy to start this game, not just because they're scoring, but there is a much different energy about this team right now that we haven't felt the last couple of games.
6-0 Wright State. Don McHenry goes down low and he puts it off the glass for 2. Hilltoppers on the board, trail 6-2, 18-20 to play in the first half. Calvin against McHenry. Getting a high ball screen. Throws it now right wing to Hubrick's. Hubrick's lobs it down low. Brandon Knoll, one-on-one against Marshall. Takes him into the paint, had it slapped away. Ball tipped out front to Calvin with 12 to shoot. Calvin will reset. Calvin crossover dribble on the double team. Gets some space. Little jump shot from the left lane line is no good, but on the miss, there's a foul called on Western Kentucky.
You see Steve Lutz again, obviously a much different looking Western Kentucky team than we've seen in years past. Obviously he's had to come in and bring in a ton of transfers. This team's still trying to get acclimated, but off to a 7-3 start. They put up a lot of wins in their first 10 games of the season. Yeah,
last 2 seasons at Texas A&M Corpus Christi took his team to the NCAA tournament. He has an overall record of 54-26, 7-3 thus far with Western Kentucky.
And there you see on our ESPN Plus feed, Coach Nagy looking on, and just based on our conversations with him, Chris, you know he's pleased with how fast they've come out here offensively.
Mid-range jump shot is good. Trey Calvin, his 3rd bucket of the night. The Raiders lead by 6, 17:40 to play in the first. McHenry comes back quickly in the offense for Western Kentucky. Now to Marshall. Newman on the drive against Holden, lays it up with the right hand, is partially blocked and picked up by Tanner. Tanner brings it up the left sideline. Holden, free throw line. Hubrick speeds it down low to Knoll. Knoll is fouled by Fay. Stops the clock. Second team foul on the Hilltoppers with 17:23 to play in the first half.
It's not just how well they're playing offensively, Chris. I mean, it's how physical they're being on the defensive end. In our ESPN Plus feed, look at the great entry pass inside to Knoll. Knoll, I mean, just such a strong player down on that block, and it'll be Wright State basketball out of bounds underneath their own bucket.
Jalen Jackson in for Western Kentucky. The lob into the basket. Turnaround jumper by Holden is good. Tanner Holden on the scoreboard. The Raiders up by 8.
You know, I talked about Trey Calvin's slow start the last couple games in the first half. Tanner Holden has also been slow in the first half.
Down in low, making the catch is Howard into the game off the bench. Marshall sets up for a 3 and knocks it down. Tyrone Marshall, his 5th 3 of the season. It's 10-5 Wright State. We played 3 minutes here in the first half. Hubrick's off the dribble against Lander. On the wing, high post, Braun. Braun with the basketball, trying to protect it from Howard. Ball's loose and picked off by Howard. Now to McHenry. They like to run. McHenry, he dishes it to Marshall. Here's a 3-pointer. It's an air ball, and Howard tried to save it. It goes out of bounds, and the ball belongs to Wright State.
So Wright State turns the ball over at their end. And luckily they sprint back, they don't hang their heads, and they force a turnover at this end. Again, just being very aggressive defensively here. And we'll see if they can take that stop of defense and turn it into some offense at this end.
Quarter court pressure shown by Western Kentucky. Calvin breaks it at midcourt. Goes at high post to Nolan. It was tipped away, but Calvin has the ball. Calvin down low. He tried to feed it to Braun, and it goes out of bounds. And it will go to Western Kentucky.
I can't, from my angle, I don't see why A.J. Braun stopped, or maybe he just didn't even see that the pass was coming his way. But you could see Trey Calvin looking at him like, hey, continue to cut to the basket. You had an easy lay in there.
Coach Lutz will use 9-10 players every game. Another substitution, Dante Allen, a senior, 6'6" out of Falmouth, Kentucky, checks in. Knoll was a bit of pressure in the backcourt. 10-5 Wright State, 16:20 left, first half. Running the point, Jackson. Howard gives him a screen. Jackson to the free throw line. Stop and go, goes up and lays it in. Nice little stutter step by Jackson. Got his first bucket and a steal by Jackson. Now to Marshall. Marshall leans in and he scores. This is how they score points. They put pressure on, especially on made buckets, and a foul in the backcourt by Lander. And that's the 13th foul on Western Kentucky. That'll send us to the first media timeout here at the Nutter Center with 15:58 to play in the first half. It's Wright State 10 and Western Kentucky 9.
Perfect.
10-9, Wright State with the early lead by 1 over the visiting Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky with Justin Kinner. Chris Collins back. It's the holiday season, and some of the students who are here who are out now because the finals week have taken in the game here tonight. And the Raiders up by 1, shooting 71%, 5 of their first 7, and Western Kentucky at 50%. But they have forced 3 Wright State turnovers, which turned into 4 points.
Yeah, and when you have only 9 points and 4 of those, and with those 4 points too, I mean, it was just taking the ball right away and going up for an easy layup. Wright State, in essence, has just given them 4 points. Coach Nagy can't be happy about that because they're shooting such a high well percentage.
Jackson putting a lot of ball pressure on Calvin as he brings it into the offensive end. He tried to split the double team, gets it back and lays it in. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and Calvin, he's now got 8.
Tanner was kind of looking over at the sideline with a smile on his face. He loved the ending to that play right there. Nonetheless, a 12-9 Raider lead.
Now it's Jackson trying to get past Calvin. Throws it out to Allen. Allen quickly back into the hands of Lander. Pull-up jump shot is good at around the free throw line.
They're starting to heat up now a little bit. They've scored some buckets off turnovers, but in the half court, starting to get some good looks and knock them down.
12-11 Wright State with the ball. Left lane line, it's A.J. Braun spinning on his defender, and a foul called on Howard. And it's now 14 fouls early for Western Kentucky.
One interesting note, Chris, we've seen in recent games where Coach Nagy goes to his bench pretty early. We're about 5 minutes in, and he has not gone to the bench. Now, 5 minutes doesn't sound like a lot of time, but that is based on what we've seen in recent games.
A.J. Braun on the wing. Now it's Knoll to Holden. Holden trying to create. Right lane line. Fadeaway jump shot on Lander is good. 4 points for Tanner Holden. The Raiders by 3 with 14:53 to play in the first.
Coach Nagy must have heard because he's sending a player over to the scorer's table.
Jackson and a reach-in foul on Brandon Knoll. And Coach Nagy let Brandon know about it. He said that's a silly foul. That's the Raiders' first team foul here this first half. As you mentioned, substitution. Senior coming into the game, Andrew Wellage, a three-point sharpshooter. He checks in for A.J. Braun. Here's Jackson inbounding on the baseline. Throws it into the backcourt where Colombe makes the catch. Off to Lander. Lander works against Hubricks. Goes behind the high ball screen. Back out front, Colombe. Jackson. Lander. Catch and shoot 3 ball. Got it. So Lander from deep, he's got 5. Game tied at 14.
We've seen the variety in which he could score. The mid-range jumper, just a foot or two inside the key, and then, of course, burying that 3 on that 1-2 step. I like the release on his shot, Chris. You got to watch out for him.
He got a lot of height on that, too. Hubricks over to Knoll. Now Wellage can't get the shot off. Goes down low to Knoll. Knoll in the paint against Howard. Back out to Wellage. Straight on 3. Got it. He had 7 3-pointers against Indiana earlier this year wearing that uniform.
Ah, you took my point, Chris. I was so looking forward to this thing. I think it's the jersey, and well done. Well done.
Momentary timeout.
But I like the, Wellage, we haven't seen that aggressiveness from him, and not taking the 3, but, he just checked in. He had that big, strong pass inside as Drake Carter now checking in for the first time for the Raiders. But he gets it right back, had his feet set. It was just a catch and shoot. He was confident. You knew that he knew he was going to make that shot. Raiders up 17-14.
All right, so Jackson with the ball out front, works on Calvin. High post to Howard. Howard hands it off to Lander. Lander with a left-hand dribble. Colombe, shot fake, back to the free throw line. The Lander sets up for 3. He's got another one. Lander now with 8, leads the Hilltoppers at 17 all with 13:37 to play in the first.
He's hitting contested shots too. I know Coach Nagy frustrated, but they are contested looks.
On the wing, Wellage, catch and shoot. That one's off the mark. It's loose and Colombe has it. Colombe will bring it up himself against Carter. Goes in fast with the left hand, can't get it to go, and Carter rips down the board. Off to Calvin, and a reach it in the backcourt on Jackson. And for Jackson, that'll be his first, the team's 5th. Stops the clock with 13:16 to play in the first. Tied at 17, and back into the game is McHenry.
For ESPN Plus crowd, take a look at the replay here again. Just trying to be aggressive defensively is Jackson, but he just leaned in and made too much contact there.
No changes for the Raiders. Carter and Knoll, along with Calvin, Holden, and Wellage.
Yeah, Wellage and Drake Carter, the only 2 players off the bench to see the floor thus far for the Raiders.
Calvin looking back door. All alone is Wellage, who lays it in. Andrew Wellage got away from his defender. An easy bucket. He's got 5 off the bench. McHenry leans in with the left hand. The runner is off. Rebound Wellage. Quickly up the floor, he finds Holden. Holden against Lander. Leans in. The layup is good. So the Raiders in transition now have a 4-point lead with 12:45 to play. Back comes Lander along the right sideline. He'll set up again. Why not? That one he missed. Rebound Howard inside, and the ball loose, goes out of bounds, and last touch by Howard.
Coach Nagy, very animated on the sideline, cheering on his team right now. He loved what he saw, the physicality down low, especially because the fact that it is a young player, Drake Carter, who's going up against a much bigger player than him. But he muscled his way down there and was able to knock the ball free, and it's going to be Wright State basketball now.
Newman is back in for Western Kentucky. A.J. Braun for Wright State. We mentioned McHenry. He's back on the floor. And the Raiders with the ball with 12:35 to play in the first. And a 4-point advantage. Wright State shooting 10 for 13 here early. Came into the game over 50%. 52nd in the country. Here's Holden. Little runner with a left hand. Rolls off, no good. And the rebound is loose. Loose ball picked up by Allen. Allen takes it all the way, laid it in, and he's fouled. Wow.
That's kind of a wild play, a wild angle, too. He drew the contact, but then kept his shoulders square to the bucket and was still able to kind of just roll that in there and set up a three-point play opportunity. 21-19 Raiders, a two-point advantage. And right now you have Allen a free throw away from cutting it back to within one.
Dante Allen, a redshirt senior. Falmouth, Kentucky, a transfer from the University of Kentucky. Misses the free throw. Tanner Holden the rebound. 21-19 Wright State with the ball. And over 12 minutes to play in the second half. Here's Welledge deep on the left wing. A couple of dribbles against Allen. Now picks it up, lobs it down low. Right lane line extended, A.J. Braun. Braun backing in against his defender. Turnaround off the glass, and he scores. Braun was 6 of 8 from the floor against Western Kentucky last year and scored 13. Now it's McHenry taking Calvin down low. He's double teamed. Threw the ball back out to Marshall. Marshall dribbling in strong against Carter. His layup is good.
Trey Carter just a hair too late on the closeout there. He left the angle too wide for him, for Marshall to put the ball on the block, and just 2 hard dribbles and go in and a strong finish at the bucket.
Raiders by 2, 11:30 to play first half. Holden makes the catch on the wing against Newman. Holden spinning, goes into the lane. Little fade away with the left hand. It's off. Rebound, A.J. Braun. One bounce goes up, and he's fouled. And that'll send us to the timeout. The under 12 here at the Nutter Center comes with 11:19 to play in the first half. With the score, the Raiders 23, the Hilltoppers 21. 23-21, Wright State and Western Kentucky. A very entertaining first minutes of this first half with 11:19 remaining. Chris Collins and Justin Kinner welcoming you back to Wright State's Nutter Center. And look at the shooting percentages, Justin. The Raiders 11 of 16. And the Hilltoppers 9 of 16. Not a whole lot of rebounds, but the Raiders have out-rebounded the Hilltoppers 10-3 here early.
Yeah, you touched on it, Chris. Both teams shooting a very solid shooting percentage here in the opening 9 minutes of this ball game. Fairly clean. Wright State 3 turnovers, only 1 turnover for Western Kentucky. We're just seeing two very good offensive teams. At the same time, both teams are not playing the worst defense. All these shots are contested. It's just better offense than defense right now.
Changes for the Raiders. Alex Hubricks will come in, and A.J. Braun at the free throw line. Braun's first one rolls around and in. A.J. has struggled, but he continues to work in practice on the free throws. Comes into this game at 45% at the line. Puts the Raiders up by 3.
Braun with 3 points.
And that one rolls out. Newman the rebound. McHenry quickly pushes it up to Marshall. Goes in strong, lays it in. Didn't even get stopped. That's what they do. 24-23, Raiders. Ball loose here at midcourt. Last touch by the Hilltoppers. Wright State will inbound with 11:07 to play in the first half.
Just let it play like that all game, ref.
Wright State has led this entire half. They've yet to trail, but they are holding on to a 1-point advantage here with 11 minutes to go.
Trey Calvin getting bumped, goes inside, puts it up, off, and over the glass, and it goes out of play, and a turnover.
Got a sandwich there. I didn't see that either.
Trey taking the brunt of that collision underneath. He appears to be okay.
The officials are letting, to their credit, Chris, all 3 officials are letting both teams play pretty physical. It's been a decently called game. I think it's been pretty equal at both ends. As I say that, yeah.
Foul, and the illegal screen was set. Dante Allen with a personal foul. That's his second. That's the team's 7th, but it's a player control foul. So we'll be shooting the bonus the rest of the way for Wright State.
There you see Coach Nagy looking on again. He talked about earlier just how tight he is with the bench right now. They've only gone 7 deep. They've only got 2 deep into the bench right now.
Hubricks at the point. High post to Knoll. Knoll short pass to Braun. Back on the wing, Hubricks. Catch and shoot 3. Rattles out. The tip no good by Knoll. Now it's picked up by Marshall on the baseline.
I like to see the aggressiveness from Hubricks. He doesn't take many shots like that.
Here's Jackson to the bucket. Stopped by the double team. Out it goes for 3. Marshall, he can't get it. Hubricks comes down with a misfire. Hubricks will bring it back into the offensive end. He's double teamed out front. Now he goes left wing to Knoll. Brandon going down the baseline, throws it in the corner to Welledge. Welledge shot fake, short corner now, throws it to Braun. Braun leans in off the glass, can't get it to fall. Ball is tipped loose in the corner and saved by Western Kentucky. Down by 1. 10 minutes to play first half. Jackson, low block, out front to Marshall. Marshall spin move in the paint on Knoll, off balance, threw it up, missed it. Rebound Welledge. Here's Wellage, stops head of the key. Calvin will fire the three and drain it. Trey Calvin's first three of the game. He's got 11. 27-23 Raiders. Quickly back comes Jackson. He leans in, nope, but draws a foul.
Raiders up 27-23. That three by Calvin gives him 11, as you talked about, Chris. 5 of 7 from the floor in his first three of the night. And we know he could take that three and knock those threes down all night, but he's been very patient offensively. He's been taking what the defense has given him, also knowing he's talented enough to get any shot that he wants, and we saw it on that play in transition right there.
Jalen Jackson did not start, but has played a lot of minutes in this first half. His first free throw is short. 5'11" guard, grad transfer out of San Antonio, Texas. 3 substitutions for Wright State. Tanner Holden back in. Dre Carter along with KK Brown seeing his first action. Lander is back for Western Kentucky, as well as Howard.
This might be, with the pace of this game, I'm really curious to see KK Brown in this style of game, Chris, because we've seen some half-court games, some slow-it-down games. This fast-tempo game, I think this fits KK Brown's speed and tempo. That could work against him as far as turnovers go if he plays too fast, but I think it plays to his strengths. I'm curious to see how he looks making his way into the floor for the first time.
Linda Hubricks, middle of the floor, the aforementioned Brown. He's double-teamed. He needs help. Do it on the wing to Carter. Carter still with it. Throws it out high to Braun. Braun against Howard. Out to Caden Brown. His three rattles out. Dre Carter had it for a moment. It's loose and picked up by Lander.
That's why I like KK Brown, Chris. Just checks into the game, wastes no time, and gets that shot up.
Back out to Lander. Head and shoulder fake, traveled. Doubled his feet. Turnover, Western Kentucky. That is their third of this first half. The Raiders also with 3. Wright State up by 3 with 9 minutes to play.
They've never trailed here in this first half. The Toppers have had a few opportunities to take the lead. They just haven't been able to capitalize.
Brown, a true freshman. All wide alone is Brown. Braun turnaround jump hook. Can't get it to fall.
I don't think Braun realized how open he was, Chris. He was startled that the ball was coming his way.
Marshall into the bucket, draws a foul. This is what Western Kentucky does. They will push the ball up and down the floor. You've got to get back.
And they push tempo, Chris, but that ball doesn't hit the deck too often. I mean, it's one power dribble and a pass, and they're attacking the bucket. They're not wasting a lot of time dribbling. They're just constantly, I mean, the tempo has been obviously in their favor. Marshall now with 10 points. He's in double digits, leading Western Kentucky. Brandon Knoll is back in for Wright State. A.J. Braun goes to the bench. 27-25, Raiders by a pair. Coach Nagy didn't go to his bench too often early, but with the tempo of this game, I think he's having to go deep into that bench just to keep guys fresh. Marshall gets the second free throw, and he'll come out for a rest. And Columbe is into the game. Interesting lineup out on the floor right now. You have a little bit of the youth with Dre Carter, obviously, and KK Brown, but you also have the experience out there with Hubricks, Brandon Knoll, and Tanner Holden. Carter with it out front. Gets it off to Brown. Brown off the dribble. Now on the switch, working against Columbe. Feeds it to Hubricks in the corner. Hubricks back out front to Carter. Fakes left. Looking back door. Now he hands it off to Holden, and he's fouled. And a foul called on Newman with just 7 on the shot clock. Second personal foul on Newman. Yeah, reached in and hit Holden across the face. And it's the 1-and-1 for Wright State. McHenry back in for Western Kentucky. Newman with those 2 fouls will go back to the bench. Tanner Holden with 6 first half points. This is his first trip to the free throw line. And he'll get the bonus. But Tanner was here before transferring to Ohio State. This is something he was adept at, getting to the free throw line, and that's something Coach Nagy wants to see him do more of. Yeah, Coach Nagy talked about that in last night's coaches show, not just saying how good he is at it, but that's the dynamic part of his game, one of the best in the country at getting to the free throw line. And he hits both of them. It's 29-26 Wright State. Clock running with 8:15. Jackson quickly back into the offensive end. Feeds it out to Columbe. Now McHenry. Down low, Howard against Knoll using that big body. Turnaround jump hook is off, and the rebound Knoll. Dishes it off to Holden. 8 minutes to play, first half. Raiders with the ball and a 3-point lead. Holden backing into the corner. Brown left open from 3.
Hit the back of the rim, no good. Ball goes out of bounds. And last touch by Western Kentucky's Lander. And that'll send us to the media timeout with the under 8 here at the Nutter Center. Wright State on top of the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky by a score of 29-26. 29-26, Wright State is up by 3. The Raiders have led throughout this first half, but Western Kentucky has stayed right with them. It's been an offensive game. The Raiders shooting at 50%, and so too is Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky 3 of 7 on the threes, 2 of 6 Wright State. Both teams have been to the line, not much. The Raiders 3 out of 4, and Western Kentucky 3 out of 5. Rebounding, the Raiders have the advantage, 15-9.
What I like right now, Chris, is just the balance scoring for the Raiders. It's their ball out of bounds underneath. Trey Calvin on the inbounds.
Gets it into Carter. Short pass to Knoll, middle of the floor. Tanner Holden. Holden taking his man inside Lander. Beats it in the corner, Hubricks. Hubricks in traffic. No look pass out to Calvin. Sets up for 3. It's short. Lander the rebound.
Trey Calvin a little frustrated. He's looking at the official like you saw him just make all that contact on the shot.
Bay back to McHenry, who's been held in check, their leading scorer. Working against Carter on the mismatch. Goes up, left-handed shot, no good. Ball tipped over to Hubricks. Hubricks will bring the ball up against McHenry. Nearly threw it away. Bay jumped in the passing lane and knocked it out of bounds.
Again, it's very tough to get those, long passes, especially a foot or two inside the half-court line. You literally have to dribble to the person you're trying to pass to because that's how they're over-aggressive in the passing lanes, talking about Western Kentucky.
Lander just fouled Tanner Holden. Veteran move by Tanner. That is his second. And back to the line will be Tanner Holden. Coach Steve Lutz not real happy with that.
Free throws come in the way of Tanner Holden. You talked about that.
Looks like more with Western Kentucky, you make most of these, you still got to get back defensively. They can beat you down the floor. And Marshall is back in.
And not just get back, sprints back. Because, and I mentioned this earlier, when they get that rebound, it's an outlet pass, and maybe it's 1 or 2 dribbles, and then it's another pass and a shot, or they're attacking the rim. They're not working the shot clock at all.
So Holden back to the line. And the first one, it is aided as it hits the front of the rim and drops through.
That gives him 9, Chris. He's 1 point away from double figures, him and Trey Calvin.
Coach Lutz talking to one of the officials on the sideline, saying, come on, give us a break. He had success at Texas A&M Corpus Christi and got the job here as Holden knocks down the second. 5-point advantage for the Raiders, 7:12 to play in the first. McHenry works against Hubricks. Short pass on the wing to Jackson. Jackson off the screen at the free throw line. Ball was kicked by Brandon Knoll. Put 2 more seconds up on the shot clock, back to 20. Western Kentucky will inbound underneath their own basket. Jackson has logged a lot of minutes in this first half off the bench. He gets it into Bay. One-on-one against Carter, the redshirt freshman. Turnaround in the paint is good. Bay's first 2 points.
Jackson picking up Trey Calvin full court to really making Trey work for it.
Calvin gets it into the offensive end. Holden over to Hubricks. Hubricks off the screen of Knoll. Now on the switch, Bay has Hubricks, picks up his dribble. Over to Holden with 12 to shoot. Holden off the dribble. Holden one-on-one against Marshall. Fadeaway on the baseline is short. And the rebound picked up by Jackson in transition. Over to McHenry. McHenry leans in with the left hand. Nope, but he's fouled.
That's what I was talking about, Chris. They got that ball, 1, 2 dribbles, quick pass up the floor, and go right up for the shot. It's very hard to get back and defend this team because it's not that they're just getting back quickly at the offensive end. They're getting back quickly and getting a shot off, and that's making it even more difficult for the Raiders into their transition defense.
So McHenry will go to the free throw line. He's got 2 points tonight. These are his first free throw attempts. He's 89% on the season. And he makes the first. A.J. Braun is back in, and Dre Carter goes back to the bench for Wright State. We mentioned McHenry, the leading scorer through the first 10 games for Western Kentucky. Misses the second free throw, and Knoll another rebound. Trey Calvin Threw it off the foot, and they called traveling before the pass. So a turnover, Wright State, number 4 in the first half. Raiders have committed 5 team fouls. Ball goes back to Western Kentucky, trailing by 2 with 6:14 to play in the first.
Well, the only good thing about that turnover, Chris, is it allows Wright State to get back and set up defensively in the half court.
Jackson has it on the wing, pressured by Calvin, tipped away by Calvin and stolen. Braun picked up the loose ball, spin move by Calvin, gets away from the defense, pull up, jump shot is short. Calvin gets it back to Holden. Holden driving in the lane, puts it up, missed it. Ball is loose and knocked out to McHenry. McHenry goes inside, his layup is good.
This might be one of the fastest teams I've ever seen up close, Chris, because, man, they know who they are, they know their identity, and they're sticking to it.
Game is tied at 31. Calvin on one-on-one, tried to feed it inside to Holden. Ball loose in the corner, out of bounds. It belongs to Wright State with 5:30 to play in the first.
You get the sense that Western Kentucky has forced Wright State to play fast. They're playing fast in the half court, and their feet at Wright State right now is playing into Western Kentucky's hands. They have to get extra ball movement, slow the tempo down a bit.
Work the offense. They get it into Braun. 14 on the shot clock. Hubricks. Holden against Marshall. Holden swings it in the corner. Wide open is Knoll for 3. It is short, and the rebound Jackson.
Those shots were falling early in the first half. They're not right now, and that's why Western Kentucky is starting to get in a little bit of a rhythm, looking to
Jackson
take the lead for the first time.
Out high, threw it away wildly, but getting it is Howard. He can't get it to fall, and A.J. Braun comes up with the rebound.
31 all, 5 minutes to go here in the first half.
Calvin, stop and go dribble, fades in with a floater, he scores and he's fouled. Trey Calvin going one-on-one, he's got 13 points.
That was big for the Raiders. They got to stop at the defensive end. Braun came down with the defensive rebound, and then Trey Calvin at the offensive end. No fear, going at the much bigger defender and getting the shot to fall while drawing the contact, and a free throw coming his way. 13 points, now maybe a free throw away from 14 first half points here.
The mistake Marshall made right there was leaving his feet. That was an easy call for the official. Calvin trying to complete the three-point play, and he does. Raiders 6 of 7 at the line. They lead by 3. 4:55 to play in the first. McHenry off the screen at the free throw line, nearly lost it. Picks it up at the elbow. Now Marshall out front to Jackson. Jackson to Marshall. Down and low to Jun. Back out front and stolen by the Raiders. Here comes Holden. He'll take it all the way in and lay it in with the left hand. Calvin and Holden right there combined for the thievery, and Holden is able to be rewarded with 2.
Defense to offense. You know Coach Nagy loves that.
Here's Jackson off balance. His shot is missed. Joe the rebound. Now Marshall down the baseline. Skip pass in the corner. McHenry all alone for 3. Drained it.
That's crucial, Chris. That was only the second offense. That was only the second chance opportunity Western Kentucky's had all night, and they were able to capitalize, bearing a 3 for the corner.
And Calvin's going to be called for the offensive foul. So Trey Calvin picks up his first foul, the team's 6th. Clock stops with 4:01 to play in the first. The Raiders up by 3. Alex Hubricks back into the Raiders lineup. Tanner Holden will come out. Also, for the first time off the Hilltoppers bench, Tegan Moore, a freshman guard out of Dry Ridge, Kentucky. So McHenry, who hit that 3 a moment ago, he has the ball out front against Calvin. On the wing, Moore makes the catch. Jun has it down in the post. 6-11 against A.J. Braun. Throws it back out front, McHenry. Now they go right side to Moore. Moore dribble drive inside, throws it back out McHenry. His 3 over Knoll is good. Had a hand in his face. He's got 2 straight 3s. We're tied at 36 with 3:33 remaining in the first half.
Not much more you could do. I mean, you had the much taller defender on him, Chris, fully extended on the reach out, and he still buried it.
Knoll inside to Braun against Jun. He goes up and lays it up. Can't get it, but the tip dunk is good. No, they say nope. They say offensive interference. So take the bucket away, and they'll go to a timeout. With 3:22 remaining in the first half. Very entertaining game here tonight at the Nutter Center. Wright State and Western Kentucky tied at 36. Along with Justin Kinner, Chris Collins back here courtside at the Nutter Center. We're knotted up at 36 apiece. The Raiders have led throughout this game. There are a couple of ties. The referees are looking at that last play. Apparently, it was an offensive goaltending. So we'll have a chance to look at it ourselves. Braun took it inside. And watch Brandon Knoll. The ball appeared to be still in the cylinder. There's plenty of time left on the shot clock. You can see it right there. It's close, but I mean, the call on the floor, obviously, it's going to be hard to overturn that. I'll be honest with you, I don't even know why they're looking at it. And they still are. They're taking their time by looking at it. We'll see it again on the replay here on ESPN+. Knoll goes up and dunks it in, but the ball appeared to be, at least in my opinion, still in the cylinder. The officials continue to look at it on the replay monitor across the floor from us. All right, they made a decision. Now all three of them are going to talk about it. This is very interesting. They say, nope, no good. So there was our first official review of the night, which, in my opinion, we didn't really need.
No.
But they did anyway. So an extended timeout, clock running with 3:20 to play. It's 36-all. McHenry with it. Western Kentucky looking for their first lead of the game. Moore, Junn. Hands it off to McHenry. McHenry back out front to Moore. They swing it right side. Marshall, step back three ball is short. And on the rebound, a foul inside. Called on Wright State. That's their 17th foul. And I think it's Tanner Holden. And it will be, and it's his first personal. And it will be the 1-and-1 for Western Kentucky. So Fay will go to the free throw line. Babacar Faye, a junior, 6'8", out of Senegal. Has not scored in this game. His free throw is out. And the rebound by Knoll. 3 minutes to play first half. McHenry picks up Calvin, crossing midcourt. Hand off to Hubricks. Now to Welledge back into the game. Welledge down low to Hubricks, but off the back of Moore. It's loose. It's saved, and Western Kentucky comes up with a loose ball. Colombe to McHenry. McHenry stop and go dribble, goes inside off the glass and good. First lead of the game for the Hilltoppers by 2 with 2:33 to play in the first half. Trey Calvin back, lobs into the corner to Holden. Holden one-on-one against Colombe. Taking him down, spin move under the bucket, had it knocked down, and out of bounds is Tanner Holden. Marshall will come out of the game. And Jalen Jackson is back in for the Hilltoppers. Western Kentucky has on a 7-0 run here in the last 2+ minutes. Here's Jackson. Dribbling inside with a double team, nearly lost it. Gets it to Colombe. The three-pointer is off. And the rebound and a foul underneath as Fay hits the floor. Is he okay? He was undercut by Brandon Knoll. 18 foul on the Raiders, the second personal on Knoll. And Fay is able to get up. And one of his teammates, Moore, puts the thumbs up and says he's okay. A.J. Braun is in. Knoll picked up his second foul, will come out for the Raiders. Babacar Faye, 0 for 1 at the line tonight, has not scored. Has played 9 minutes, one of the starters.
Our camera shut off, but now it's back on.
Faye's free throw is out. And on the tip, we got a foul called on Western Kentucky. I think it's going to be on Moore. Yep. So Moore picks up the foul. And we'll go down to the other end for the 1-and-1. Actually, that's the 10th team foul, so it'll be two free throws for Tanner Holden. Holden has 12 points. Perfect fourth the line here tonight. Looking if he can make these two free throws, tie the game up with 2:04 remaining first half. He'll get the first. Holden. Second free throw is good. Perfect 6 at the line. The Raiders have tied it at 38. 2 minutes exactly to play in the first half. Jackson, high ball screen, goes down low. His shot altered by Braun on the rebound. A foul called on Fay.
So in the final 2 minutes here, Chris, obviously the physicality on both ends of the floor is obviously playing a role here, but to the officials' credit, it's physical at both ends. It's not like it's one-sided right now, but to Wright State's credit, they've battled through it as well. You could tell that this is a physical team that's used to playing physical.
Well, the Raiders, this will be their 9th attempt from the line. Western Kentucky has 9 attempts. They're 4 for 9. The Raiders 8 of 9. Welledge at the line, knocks it down. Andrew Welledge with 6 points off the bench, his first from the free throw line. Welledge gives the Raiders the lead by 1 with 1:52 left here in this first half. Andrew Welledge out of Greensburg, Indiana. His second free throw is good. So Andrew off the bench with 8. And the Raiders up 2. Clock running with 1:47 to play in the first. More ball tipped away by Calvin. Steal by the Raiders. Welledge on the wing. Calvin back out to Hubricks. Now it's Welledge. Welledge down in low. It goes to Braun. Braun takes it up with the left hand and scores. A.J. Braun, and now with 5 points. And back comes Jackson. Jackson in a hurry. Off balance, throws it in the corner more. Back to Callum-Bay. Now McHenry fakes the 3. Throws it down in low to Howard. Back to McHenry. His layup is good.
Man, that was such a good closeout on him as well, but the second he did the closeout, got rid of it, he just cut back door and got the easy lay-in. He's so fast to the bucket.
Holden against McHenry has a size advantage. Goes underneath the hoop, feeds it down to Braun, and he's fouled. Callum-Bay pushed him from behind. And for Callum-Bay, his first. And it'll be a double bonus for A.J. Braun. Braun, again, a 45% free throw shooter. He has split a pair here in this first half. The Raiders are up by 2. Coming into this game, Western Kentucky shooting 44% as a team. They're at 50% here in this first half. And the free throw is off by Braun. Marshall is in, Moore is out. Coach Nagy has been frustrated at times early this season with his team. They're playing hard here tonight as Braun attempts the second free throw and scores. A.J. Braun now with 6. The Raiders by 3. We're under a minute to play in the first half. Jackson, handoff, McHenry on the wing. Callum-Bay back out front, Marshall. Marshall on the wing, McHenry fires up the 3. It's off. On the rebound, it's Marshall trying to save it, but he can't. Ball goes back to Wright State with 42.8 seconds remaining in the first half.
McHenry, I mean, we highlighted him for a reason, Chris. 6 of 8 from the floor, 14 points. All he does is shoot. All he does is score. He's pacing them so well right now.
Calvin on the wing to Welledge. Out high, Braun. Braun being pressured. Gets it to Hubricks. 14 on the shot clock. Right corner, Holden. Left side, Calvin, catch and shoot 3 ball. Rattles out. Callum-Bay, the rebound. 17 seconds left first half. Now Jackson into the offensive end. They're going to call a timeout. Steve Lutz looked back at Jackson, said, call the timeout with 12.6 seconds left. Let's see what the Hilltoppers draw up right here with the final possession. The shot clock is off with 12.6 seconds remaining in this first half. Wright State got up to a hot start, shooting 44% now, 15 of 34, 2 for 9 on their threes. However, the free throw line, they have the advantage, 11 out of 13. Western Kentucky is 4 out of 9. Western Kentucky shooting 48.5%, 16 of 33, 4 of 11 on their three-pointers. They came into this game, did the Hilltoppers, Coach Lutz's team, holding their opponents to 40% from the floor. Wright State shooting 50%, so they're under their percentage for the season. They just put a lot of ball pressure on you, wear you down.
And the good thing is, you know, right now it doesn't look as if they have worn Wright State down. I don't think Wright State looks like they're fatigued or tired, but where that will play a role, Chris, is not at the tail end of the first half. Will that play a role at the tail end of the ball game? That's going to be key in how Coach Nagy handles the bench in the second half.
Inbounds pass to Jackson. 10 seconds left. Jackson pressured by Calvin. Middle of the floor. Colombe goes in on Welledge. And a foul called, and it's a charging foul. Andrew Welledge taking one for the team.
By the way, I want to apologize to our radio audience. We had disconnected, but we're back up and operating. So here we go. That's 43-40. Wright State over Western Kentucky. There's a timeout on the floor. Just a quick reset for our radio audience listening on WING and 101.5 Hank FM.
So the Raiders use their use it or lose it timeout. Dialing up the play here with 4.8 seconds remaining in this first half. Again, it's been very entertaining, very physical. Both teams have played, fairly well in this first half. Not a lot of mistakes. You look at the turnovers. Now, at the pace of play, the Raiders have turned it over 8 times. Western Kentucky has turned it over 7. Coming into the game, Western Kentucky forcing their opponents in their first 10 games to just under 17 turnovers a game.
I mean, the fact that they could play at this pace and tempo, Chris, and they just don't stop. And it hasn't impacted their shooting ability either. Like, they're shooting 48%. That's wild to me.
Welledge, middle of the floor to Knoll. Knoll off to Calvin. Calvin with 3 seconds remaining. Takes it in with a left hand. Can't get it to go. And that's how the first half will end. So we can catch our breath here at halftime. We'll take a break from the Nutter Center on the campus of Wright State University. Trey Calvin leading the way along with Tanner Holden with 14. 14 for McHenry, the leading scorer for Western Kentucky. So at the half, it's the Raiders 43, the Hilltoppers 40. Horizon League student athletes have major experiences in our league, including NCAA Division I competition and championships, and exposure on ESPN platforms. To learn more about the major experiences provided by the Horizon League and our members, visit horizonleague.com/brand recharge. Along with Justin Kinner, Chris Collins back here, and our ESPN Plus crew, we got a good one. It's 43-40, pretty much on cue. You look at the shooting percentages, the Raiders down below their season average, and Western Kentucky just a little bit above. Difference for the Raiders, they're 11 of 13 at the line, just 4 of 9 for the Hilltoppers. But you look at both of these teams coming into this game, the Raiders through 9 games average about 80 points a game. The Hilltoppers average just over 80 points a game. And you look at the score at half, 43-40.
Oh, no doubt about it. And I was talking about that a little bit ago, that both teams, I don't think either team's playing bad defense. I think both teams are playing good, solid defense. I just think that right now you can play good defense, but I think you have just 2 offenses that are just better. And that's really what this is coming down to. Sure, there's little things you could do. I think both offenses are doing a good job of taking care of the basketball. They're not turning it over, and it's going to be key. The first 4 minutes of the second half is really going to be crucial because Wright State at times throughout the non-conference, they've started out slow in the second half. I think it's going to be crucial for them to get out to a hot start the exact same way they got out to a hot start in the first half, where they dictated the tempo. Chris, at times I felt like they were playing at the tempo of Western Kentucky. I think it's going to be key for Wright State to force Western Kentucky to play their game here in the second half.
Same starters for both teams: Calvin, Braun, Knoll, Holden, and Hubricks for Wright State. Newman, McHenry, Marshall, Lander, and Fay for the Hilltoppers. Inbounds pass goes to McHenry, leading the team with 14 thus far. Marshall's got 11. McHenry into the corner to Marshall. Out front to Newman. Newman gets by Holden. His layup is good. 43-41, or 42. It's a 1-point lead and nearly a turnover in the backcourt. Raiders a little sloppy with the inbounds pass, but Holden able to come up with it. Give it to Calvin. Calvin off the dribble, into the corner, stop and go underneath. The layup is good. I think he was surprised he was that open under the basket.
I think that's just the defense overcommitting on pretty much everything, and they've done a good job of attacking.
McHenry had it knocked away. Holden picks up the loose ball. He doesn't have numbers at the elbow. Feeds it over to Braun. Braun had a ball tipped away. It's loose in the corner, and it goes out of bounds, and turnover Wright State. Unable to get into their offensive set. Turnover for the Raiders, number 9 in the game. It's 45-42, Wright State by 3. We played almost a minute here in the second half.
A.J. Braun hasn't had a bad game. He has 6 points, 2 of 5 from the floor, but sometimes the physicality of this game has gotten to him on many occasions.
Right, and Newman at the free throw line, back to Marshall. He tried to feed it to Fay down in the post, but it's kicked away by Knoll. 20 back up on the shot clock. Steve Lutz calling out the play from the sideline in his first year as the head coach of the Hilltoppers, taking over for Rick Stanberry. Inbounds pass, McHenry cut off by the double team. He gets it back from Fay. Down low into the bucket in the corner. Lander is wide open for three and drains it. Lander, that's his third three tonight on 4 attempts. And the Hilltoppers have knotted it up at 45 apiece with 18:42 to play in the second half.
Lander and McHenry have really complimented each other today.
Holden to the bucket. His layup is good. Little one-on-one. He got inside and had a clear path to the bucket.
When McHenry was off to a slow start in the first half, of course, it was Lander who was hitting some big shots, and you saw both of them compliment one another the last time down the floor.
Newman back to Lander. Lander, Newman on the wing. Catch and shoot three off balance. It goes out of bounds, and it goes back to Wright State, leading by 2. Tanner Holden, Trey Calvin had picked it up for the Raiders, both with 16. Wellich has 7 off the bench. Newman is going to come out of the game for Western Kentucky. And Jalen Jackson, we saw a lot of minutes off the bench in that first half, 13 minutes to be exact, on the floor. Calvin brings it into the offensive end, hand off to Hubricks, middle of the floor. Holden surveys the defense. Hubricks fakes the three, back out to Holden, 17 to shoot. Holden into the paint, turnaround jump shot is up and off the back of the iron, no good. Now McHenry in transition. McHenry with a floater with the left hand, it's good and he's fouled.
That gives him 16 points, and the chance to get to 17 right now has already surpassed his season average, or his per game average, if you will. But he's feeling it. Take a look at the replay for our ESPN Plus crowd. Goes up. Not a lot of contact for as physical as this game has been. I don't think that was worth calling, but nonetheless, he gets to the free throw line and buries it, and he gives Western Kentucky the lead.
From Milwaukee, Wisconsin, attended Indian Hills Community College, and the Hilltoppers back on top. Here's Holden, stop and go dribble, takes it down into the paint. Off balance, he's called to traveling. Got knocked off balance. He thought it was because he was fouled, but to no avail, and a turnover for Wright State. Turnover number 10 in the game, 2 in the second half.
Whether it's Brandon Knoll or Hubricks or someone other than Trey Calvin or Tanner Holden has to step up to make some big plays down the stretch, especially at the offensive end.
Here's Fay. Knocked his own man down, trying to dribble the big guy inside on Braun. Goes up, and an offensive foul called on Fay.
Yeah, if you look at the replay, it looks like he does hook him. I mean, he's been using a lot of that body and the arms at the full extension to kind of push Braun back. We'll have a chance to take a look at the replay here again. Braun just staying behind him, but yeah, you see that hand. He got a little loose with it to kind of clear out Braun to spin to that right shoulder. And he's taken out of the game after that.
Calvin with a handle. At the free throw line, Holden. Holden, right lane line. Jackson being very physical with him. He goes up and under, had the ball swatted away and grabbed by Marshall. Marshall into the corner. Lander open. He hit one a moment ago. That one is off. Marshall, the rebound, had it stripped out of bounds, and it belongs to Wright State. Under 17 minutes to play in the second half. The Hilltoppers with a 1-point advantage, 48-47.
Chris, we're not seeing that ball movement that we did in that first half. They're almost becoming a little predictable where it's just Tanner or Trey going one-on-one. They have to move the basketball around to get some other guys some looks.
Calvin out front. Hubricks on the wing. Hubricks now will take it with a dribble to the top of the key. Looking back door, he finds Knoll, who lays it up and out. Did not have enough to get it through, and Western Kentucky comes back with a possession.
Nice pass, nice opportunity. They just couldn't capitalize.
Marshall strong to the basket. His layup is good, and he's fouled. I mean, he is so aggressive. He just takes it right to the hoop. Helped up by his teammates. Marshall now with 13 points, a chance to make it 14. So you got balanced scoring for Western Kentucky in this game.
Yeah, I mean, he is such a big man down there, too, and so strong. Brandon Knoll.
Third foul.
It's called for that. Again, he's the strongest player down low. Talking about Brandon Knoll, who's going to make his way out. We'll see Wellich check in. But, man, oh, man, I think the foul trouble, too. Brandon Knoll has just really not been able to get comfortable and get any kind of rhythm on offense because trying to not be too physical on defense because of the fouls.
Marshall, 6'7", 215. Allen ready to check in. Going to wait for the free throw. It's 50-47 Hilltoppers. The three-point spread is their largest of the game. And the free throw is good. Substitution into the game, Allen. Marshall will come out. Marshall with 14. McHenry has 17. Lander 11. So you got a trio of Hilltoppers in double figures. It's Calvin 16, Holden 16 for the Raiders. Here's Wellage with the ball. He feeds it to Hubricks down in the post. Hubricks against McHenry, fade away, jump shot, tough shot, got it.
That's what they need, Chris. Someone that's not Tanner, not Trey. I know I'm repeating myself a lot, but just to get that balanced attack that we're seeing from Western Kentucky.
McHenry off to Jackson, swings it right side Lander. Lander into the post to Howard. Howard back to Lander. Lander gets a screen, throws it with a left hand to Allen. Back middle of the floor, Jackson, reverse it left side, McHenry. McHenry. Shot fake down into Howard into the post. Ball tipped away and stolen by Tanner Holden.
Nice
Holden
defense.
quickly up the floor to Hubricks on the right sideline. Back to Holden. Holden dribbling inside. Fade with the left hand is no good. He got the ball back. Throws it out to Hubricks. Hubricks for three. Off the rim. And the rebound Lander. 51-49 Hilltoppers. 15:30 to play. Lander takes it into the post. Off the glass. Spin no good. Howard back out. McHenry for three. It's short. And underneath we got a foul called on Howard. And that'll send us to the first media timeout here in the second half at the Nutter Center with the score Western Kentucky 51 and Wright State 49. 51-49, Western Kentucky on top, shooting 4 of 8 here in the second half. The Raiders just 3 out of 8. The Hilltoppers just come right at you. They play 9-10 guys, and they got balanced scoring. Justin, it's something you talked about. The Raiders, you have 2 players in double figures, Calvin and Holden, both with 16, but 17 for McHenry, 14 for Marshall, and 11 for Lander.
Yep, shooting the ball almost 50% on top of that. It's not just that they're getting balanced scoring, they're getting efficient balanced scoring, and it's just good team basketball on the offensive end for Western Kentucky.
Calvin bringing the ball up against the pressure from Jackson. Hands it off to Wellage. He picks up his dribble, backdoor to Calvin, his layup, and goaltending. Goaltending on Howard. Steve Lutz told his player, listen, don't do that.
How about the passing tonight from Wright State between Wellage and Hubricks, who have found just some, I mean, look at this pass, just to whip that in there, a perfect lead pass for Calvin, who goes up for the layup that was ultimately goaltend. But we saw Wellage with a nice pass the previous time down the floor. Of course, they couldn't finish and capitalize with the layup by Noel, but man, and then Tanner Holden's had some great passes tonight too.
Jackson had the ball, picked it up at the elbow, hands it off to Lander. Game tied at 51, 14:50 to play. Howard going inside on Braun, muscles it up there and scores. Howard with his first 2 points of the game. The Toppers back up by a pair.
I can't believe that's only his first 2. I mean, he's such an imposing force out there, Chris.
Calvin working on Jackson, applying the defensive pressure. High post to A.J. Braun. Braun hands it off to Dre Carter into the game. Carter on the wing with the dribble. Back out front to Calvin. 10 to shoot. Here's Calvin with it on the wing. Calvin throws it over to Braun. 6 to shoot. Braun trying to create against Howard. Takes him inside. Had it stripped out of bounds. And it stays with Wright State. With just 3 on the shot clock.
So they're saying it was, I mean, obviously he wasn't.
Foul.
Yeah, he drew the foul. They're saying it was before the shot, though, so.
Okay. And Coach Nagy can't believe it.
My thing is how could that not be a shooting foul? What do you think he was dribbling towards the bucket for? But nonetheless, they have 20 seconds now.
Now Braun goes inside, off balance, puts it up with a jump hook and scores. Game tied at 53 with 14:10 to play.
Wasn't pretty, but you know what? He muscled his way down there and threw it up and got the shot to fall.
Lander to Howard, going inside, jump hooks, around and in, and he's fouled. Much to the delight of the Hilltoppers bench. Gives them the lead, and Howard will go to the line. He's got 2 buckets here. In a matter of a couple of minutes, his first 2 of the game. He'll have a chance to finish it up with a free throw. Foul was on A.J. Braun. That was his second. Team foul 3 on the Raiders. Howard misses the free throw, and the rebound collected by Carter. Off to Hubricks. Hubricks gets a screen from Carter. Now he's double teamed out front. Throws it down, right wing, Calvin. Calvin, and against McHenry. Little floater inside the paint is good. Trey Calvin now with 20 points, tied at 55. McHenry come back quickly, top of the key to Marshall. Marshall feeds the post to Howard, he leans in, nope, and a whistle. and a late whistle on the contact, and the foul called on A.J. Braun.
They, Howard went, he's played 14 minutes and he hadn't scored up until the last couple of possessions. With A.J. Braun on them, they like that matchup for Howard. And that's 3 or 4 straight trips where they've brought the ball down to feed him the basketball. He scored on 2 of the last 3 possessions and now has a chance to score at the free throw line.
Howard misses the first free throw. That's 2 in a row misses that he's had. Howard coming into this game played in 8 of the 10 games in which they've had this year with Western Kentucky. Came in at 61% at the line. Averages about, and scores. Averages about 10 points per game off the bench. Gives the Hilltoppers a 1-point lead with 13:28 to play in the second half. Andrew Wellage out front, top of the key. Wellage spins it over to Holden, middle of the floor. Knoll on the wing. Huberts back cut to Holden. Ball is blocked. Great block by Marshall, and back comes Western Kentucky in transition. McHenry off balance, and he's fouled. You got to give McHenry credit. I mean, he just goes right after you, and you got to stop him. If you don't, you're going to foul him. And the line is McHenry, an outstanding free throw shooter. He came into this game 33 out of 37. He's 2 out of 3 here tonight. The first one, missed it. Western Kentucky up by 1. Fay checks back into their lineup. Last year, Western Kentucky went in a close one over Wright State. Down at Western in Bowling Green, Kentucky, 64-60, and the second one is good. 2-point lead.
And you want to talk about a non-conference schedule that has prepared Wright State for conference play. I mean, every game has been a battle for them. They are definitely battle-tested at this point.
Wellage beats it down and low to the post. Huberts inside. Fadeaway jump shot is around and in. Game tied at 57. Huberts coming alive in the second half. He's got 6. Now it's Lander off to Allen. Allen on the wing. Marshall going strong to the basket on Holden. Down and low. Fay back out front to McHenry. McHenry, 3-point shot. Got it. McHenry now with his second 3 of the night, I should say, on 4 attempts. The Hilltoppers up by 3.
Trey Calvin was up on him. I mean, he was in the space.
Here's Knoll on the cut on the look from Wellage, and the Raiders score an easy bucket. Trail by 1 with 12:24 left to play.
You have to be concerned if McHenry, he's scoring with a hand in his face. That means he's feeling it.
Here's Allen. He lost it. Wasn't looking for it, but a steal by Marshall. Marshall tried to get it to Fay, but it's kicked away. Where the Raiders had a steal right there, but give Marshall credit. He came right in behind Wellage, who didn't see him, and picked his pocket.
Wright State just trying to play a little too fast there. Take a look at this replay right here again. I mean, that just slipped out of his hand.
Yeah.
So he comes away with it, and then he sneaks right in there and takes it right away, talking about Marshall.
Jackson lobs it into Fay. Gets it back to Jackson. Jackson strong against Calvin. Goes up, had it blocked by Knoll. Out of bounds with 12:07 to play. Good help defense by Brandon Knoll.
What a game this has been here. We still have 12 exciting minutes remaining here.
Jackson motioning for Marshall to go out and make the catch, and he does near midcourt. Left sideline McHenry. Back to Marshall. Now Newman on the wing right. Newman back out to Marshall. Feeds it into the post to Fay. Fay against Knoll. Got away with a walk. Into the corner. McHenry, his 3. No. Rebound. Fay goes down, and a foul.
Fans are really getting into this, too.
All right, so there's a timeout. Get a chance to take our collective breaths as Fay gets up, helped up by his teammates in front of his bench. The media timeout. The under-12 comes with 11:51 to go here in the second half at the Nutter Center, with the visitors Western Kentucky on top of the Raiders 60-59. The Major Moves pillar of the Horizon League experience highlights our commitment to innovation and forward-thinking approach to challenges while addressing emerging trends in all aspects of the college sports environment. To learn more about the major moves across the Horizon League, visit horizonleague.com/brand-recharge. This one's been tight throughout. Neither team has had a double-digit lead. Hilltoppers on top by 1, 60-59, with 11:51 remaining. If you look at the team fouls, the Raiders have been called for 6 in this second half. and Western Kentucky just 3. So it's the Hilltoppers' ball. 20 on the shot clock. Jackson will inbound to Marshall in the post. Out to Jackson. Swings it back to Mahenry. Now Newman. Newman against Holden. Lost it for a moment, picked it up to Fay. Jackson reverses it left wing. Marshall. Marshall, 7 to shoot. Marshall just leans in. The runner is good.
He's muscled his way down into the paint, Chris, elevated and kissed it off the glass.
Tell you, he is very active on both ends of the floor. He gives the Hilltoppers a 3-point lead with 11:24 to play.
We talked about the tempo of this game, Chris. When will fatigue start to settle in for either team? That's something to keep an eye on in the final 11 minutes here.
Here's Welledge, lost it. It's stolen by McHenry. He will take it all the way in for a lazy layup.
That's the 12th turnover for the Raiders, and that turnover led to an easy score at the other end for Western Kentucky. It was a 4-point advantage now, 5-point advantage now.
16-point off turnover, Western Kentucky in the game. Down in low to Knoll. Knoll against Fay. His jumper missed it inside off the glass, and he is fouled.
Something you highlighted during the break, Chris. Getting to the free throw line has not been something we've seen a lot of from the Raiders here in the second half.
Foul's on Fay, that's his third. Howard and Lander poised to get ready at the scorer's table to check in. A.J. Braun for Wright State as Brandon Knoll will be shooting 2 right here. Clock stop with 10:54 remaining. His first free throw is good. Knoll now with just 3 points. He's got 4 rebounds. So McHenry and Fay will come out. Wright State's Braun is in, and he replaces Welledge. Knoll's next free throw is short, and the rebound by Marshall.
They have Marshall listed at 6'7". He looks a lot taller than 6'7".
He plays longer than that. Lander in traffic. The floater with the left hand. Had it for a moment. Goes out of bounds. Last touch by Wright State. Tell you what, Western Kentucky, they go after those 50-50 balls on both ends.
So another opportunity here for Western Kentucky with a 4-point advantage to continue to add to it. It's a game that the Raiders have led for the majority of the ball game, but since jumping onto this lead, they've kind of been in control.
Inbounds pass, Lander. He flips it in to Jackson. Jackson back to Lander, lobs it into the post to Howard. Back off to Lander. His up and under is good off the glass.
He went
Lander
up
with 13.
Went up at 2 defenders, split both of them, and then went up for the scoop shot to give him a 6-point advantage now.
Raiders down by 6. Calvin goes inside and is fouled. So foul starting to mount.
Take a look at this again. Just nice little entry pass into the post. Howard goes right back to him. He goes up, kind of splits the defense, and scoops it up underneath over the much taller defenders for the Raiders. But just a good, strong finish at the bucket by Lander, who has 13 points, 5 of 9 from the floor.
So Trey Calvin will go to the free throw line at his average at 20 points per game. Jalen Jackson was assessed that foul as Calvin hits the free throw. And for Jackson, that's his 3rd foul. So Marshall will come out of the game. Columbe is in. McHenry on the floor for Western Kentucky. As they take a look at Jackson, who also came out of the game. Next free throw rattles out. Ball tipped by Knoll, but picked up by Lander. 66-61, Western Kentucky with the ball and the lead. Columbe back to McHenry. McHenry holding it on his hip. Now he gets it to Lander. Down inside Howard, double teamed. Howard spin, and he called for travel. Turnover number 13 for Western Kentucky. And the Raiders need to capitalize, down by 5 here at home with 10:07 to play. Western Kentucky shooting 59% in the second half. Calvin one-on-one against McHenry. Fadeaway on the baseline is good. 23 and a timeout called by Scott Nagy, and that will be a floating timeout. We also will take a break from the Nutter Center. We got a close one. Western Kentucky looking for their 4th consecutive win on top of the Raiders by a score of 66-63. We got 9 minutes and 55 seconds remaining here in this second half, and Wright State trailing at home by 3 to Western Kentucky. Most of the stats, Justin, you mentioned during the break, pretty even, but two of them stick out. Points off turnovers, Western Kentucky with a 16-6 edge there. And also, you look at the fast break points.
I mean, the fast break points, and I apologize, 17 fast break points compared to, what, 4 for Wright State? I mean, that's the only thing that separates them, but this has been I mean, you look at the score, it's a one-possession game with 9 minutes to go, 10 minutes to go. This is a dead-even matchup, but the advantage for Western Kentucky is a big difference maker in the fast break.
Howard to Lander. Lander feeds it over. Newman picks up his dribble, puts it up off the glass, and scores. He got his defender in the air. He had a good look at it, and it's back to a 5-point lead for Western Kentucky. 9:27 to play. Holden off to Calvin. Calvin looking inside. Hubricks against Lander, takes him inside. Trying to get position, had the ball knocked away, picks it up in the corner. Cross court over to Holden. Holden looking inside. Now he'll take it with the dribble over to Calvin. Calvin dribbling down on the baseline. Fadeaway jump shot off the back of the iron, no good. Rebound Newman in transition. Newman making his way in, had it knocked away by Braun. AJ picks it up and gets it over to Calvin. Calvin past midcourt. Calvin trying to create. Throws it back out Hubricks. Hubricks three. Got it! Alex Hubricks with a timely three. He's got 9. The Raiders trail by 2.
I said, who's going to step up and complement Trey Calvin and Tanner Holden, and it's been Hubricks to pace early in the first half and definitely here late in the second half.
Here's Newman. Tries to answer with a 2. It's off the back of the iron. It's cleared out by Knoll. Knoll off to Hubricks. Raiders a chance to tie or take the lead. It's Hubricks in the paint. Fade away up off the glass, misses it. And we have a whistle underneath and a stoppage of play. It's due to Lander apparently with a leg issue. He'll come out of the game. Jalen Jackson is back in. Also Allen up off the Western Kentucky bench.
He's favoring that right leg, and he kind of came down. I don't know if he came down on the foot of Hubricks or what, but nonetheless, he makes his way over to the sideline, and we hope he's okay, by the way. He's had a fantastic game tonight. I'm a big fan of his. I mean, 13 points, 5 of 9 from the floor. We'll see if he makes his way back onto the floor at some point, but 8:22 to go, Chris. Raiders trail 2.
11 ties in this game. Down and low, Howard. Howard threw it across court, back out to McHenry. They leave him wide open for 3, and he hits it. McHenry with his 3rd 3 of the game and 6 attempts. The lead balloons to 5 with 8 minutes to play.
There's some fans behind us. They didn't like that he left him open, but they couldn't leave the entry pass open. Knowles playing with 3 fouls right now.
Calvin out high. Now it's Holden. Holden gets it over to Calvin. Calvin dribbling into the paint. Jump shot is good. Going right to left, just inside the free throw line, knocked it down.
And it looks, I mean, when the ball leaves his hand, it looks like a floater, but I mean, that's just a pure, smooth jump shot in the paint. The mid-range game is beautiful for him.
3-point lead for Western Kentucky with the ball. Howard out front. Now Jackson had it tipped away, gets it back on the baseline. Here's Colombe. Colombe dribbling in on Holden. Over to Allen. They leave him open for 3. He got it. The 8th 3 tonight for Western Kentucky on 19 attempts.
Back-to-back threes for Western Kentucky, but back-to-back wide open uncontested threes at that, Chris.
Here's Calvin and an offensive foul. The foul's going to be called on A.J. Braun, and that's going to be his 4th, and that sends us to the under 8 timeout. So Western Kentucky with the momentum with 7:12 to play here from the Nutter Center. We'll step out with the score. The Hilltoppers 74, the Raiders 68. Along with Justin Kinner, Chris Collins back here courtside at the Nutter Center. We've had a good one. Neither team has had a double-digit lead. Get a chance to look at the mascot for the Raiders, Rowdy Raider. I think he's done with his finals for this semester. He looks like he's pretty confident he'll get through.
He's been busy today. They
That's right.
He worked the women's game earlier today. How about the women's game earlier today? Setting a new attendance record for women's basketball here at Wright State at the Nutter Center. 7,500 fans in attendance, shattering the previous record of 4,500, which was set back in 2001 when #1 ranked UConn and the women were in town.
Western Kentucky with the ball, 6-point lead, their largest of the game. Colombe puts it up wildly off the glass and scores. Western Kentucky shooting 59% in the second half. Their biggest lead now at 8 with 6:48 to play. Holden nearly lost the dribble, picks it up, gets it over to Welledge back into the game. Welledge on the wing to Hubricks. Hubricks to Knoll, takes the 3. Now it's Holden. He'll try the triple. It's short. And an easy rebound for Allen.
He doesn't take a lot of threes, but they left him, they gave him a lot of space, and he tried to capitalize.
Jackson to Allen, left wing, looking inside. He'll try a three-pointer, misses it. Long rebound is picked up by Colombe. Back over to McHenry. He's got 3 threes on the night. He feeds it to Jackson. Now Colombe looking inside for Howard. Does not have a passing lane. Now Jackson with 10 to shoot. And ball knocked away and stolen by Calvin, and he's fouled. Calvin fouled in the backcourt by Jackson. That's just the 16th foul on Western Kentucky. Stops the clock with 6:06 to play. The Raiders trail by 8.
Take a look at the replay here again. Calvin just so crafty with the ball in his hands. He draws the contact, and if they wouldn't have called the foul, he had a nice little lead pass up ahead.
That's 4 on Jackson. He has to go back to the bench. Marshall is back in.
So he goes out with that foul. Lander's still on the sideline with the injury.
Calvin, little scoop move, a little give and go on that dribble. Stopped and started and got another 2 more. He's got 26, 27.
2-possession game, but it all comes down to getting stops at the defensive end. But Western Kentucky, they're in a little bit of a rhythm right now.
It's Marshall driving hard to the basket with the right hand, left it short. Rebound hold, but he's fouled from behind by Marshall.
All right, now
Marshall's second foul.
Momentum starting to shift back in favor of Wright State. Now the 1-1 coming in the way of Wright State here, which is huge. They need any way they can get points up on the board. They have to find it right now. They're not gassed, Chris, but they do. There is a difference right now in the way Western Kentucky's moving the ball up and down the floor in Wright State. Almost a little fatigue starting to settle in. So some points without moving right now would be key.
You know, testing the toughness of the Raiders. Mental toughness is Holden cannot get the front end of the 1-1. That's like a turnover. On the other end, Marshall streaking to the bucket, lost it, and he traveled. Shuffled his feet before he went up. Obviously, he did that because he lost the handle on it. So a untimely turnover for Western Kentucky, trailing by 6. I say leading by 6. Allen is out of the game. Lander is back in. Raiders trail by 2 possessions, 76-70 Hilltoppers. Clock running now with 5:33 to play.
And that was key too, because right now Brandon Knoll has 3 fouls. Braun has 4. That turnover doesn't happen. He could have picked up his 4th foul.
Hold it to Knoll. Shoves it over to Welledge. Lost it on the floor. Got a tie up. And the alternating possession error belongs to Wright State with 16 on the shot clock. Wright State has turned it over 13 times in this game, but that has led to 18 points off turnovers for the Hilltoppers. And that's something they knew coming into this game. That's just how Western Kentucky plays. Very athletic, opportunistic.
76-70, Western Kentucky with the lead.
Calvin takes the inbounds pass from Welledge. Trying to create against Lander. Goes into the paint, fadeaway jumper. He got fouled. Helped up by his teammates. It stops the clock, and Trey Calvin, in the act of shooting, will get 2.
And he's so clutch, Chris. I mean, look, he's been scoring sporadically throughout the entire game. But, I mean, we've seen this for years now, especially the last couple. I mean, we really saw it come on late that year. They made it to the NCAA tournament, won their first tournament game in program history, where he got that big clutch shot against Northern Kentucky, I'm sorry, in the Horizon League Championship game. But he is one of the most automatic guys in crunch time that I've ever watched live. I mean, it's just fascinating to watch him play, whether it's getting to the free throw line, hitting big threes, or floaters in the paint. He's so talented. Calm and cool customer.
He's got 29 points. The Raiders trail by 4. 5:11 to play in the second half. High post to Howard. Howard back to Marshall. Colombe, Marshall, top of the key. McHenry into the paint. In traffic, throws it up with the left hand, missed it. Rebound Calvin. Calvin pushing it up the floor to Hubricks. Hubricks slowing it down on the wing. Cross-court pass, Welledge, open, 3! Oh, it's off the front of the rim. Had the shot they wanted. Western Kentucky comes back quickly. It's Lander. Marshall, reverse layup is good. You missed, you got to get back.
Especially against this team, no doubt about that. That was a nice 3 by the Raiders at the other end. They just couldn't get it to fall, but that no-look pass to find him was just as impressive.
Calvin working on Lander, taking him inside the paint. Throws it into the corner. Tanner Holden. Holden, cross-court, Welledge. Welledge will try a triple, and that one rattles in and out. And 78-72, Hilltoppers with the ball. McHenry to the free throw line. Picks up his dribble. Colombe fakes the three. Now he'll hand it back to McHenry. McHenry through traffic with the left hand. No. Rebound. Howard, no. And Hubricks comes up with a miss. Under 4 minutes to play. Raiders with the ball down by 6. Welledge down in low. Knoll turnaround with the left hand. He got it to go. And a timeout is called on the floor. And a 30-second timeout will turn into a full timeout. The under 4 comes with 3:50 remaining. Stay with us, folks. We expect an exciting finish. Brandon Knoll brings the Raiders to within 4. It's the Hilltoppers 78, the Raiders 74.
78-74, Western Kentucky over Wright State, but we'll take a look at the most recent play on our ESPN Plus broadcast. Again, just a cross-court pass. I mean, Welledge had some open opportunities, but this time he was able just to dump it right down into Brandon Knoll, who spin to that inside shoulder and go up with the left hand to finish in the paint. And the Raiders desperately needed that one, Chris. A 2-possession game, 3:50 remaining. And it all comes down to this. We talked about fatigue, all of that, but this is why the non-conference schedule prepares you for conference play. It's matchups like this. This is a big one here, a big 3:50 coming up.
Wright State now with just one timeout remaining. Western Kentucky has 3 team fouls, 8 for the Hilltoppers, 7 for the Raiders. The arrow belongs to Western Kentucky with 3:50 left. Western Kentucky led by McHenry with 26. The Raiders, Calvin, 29. We expected that here tonight as the players to watch. McHenry gets a high screen, takes it inside with the left hand, scores.
So quick coming out of the timeout, too. Cannot make Coach Nagy happy, but how the Raiders respond at the offensive end will be key.
Tanner Holden in the corner. Welledge back out to Hubricks, down low to Holden. Holden in traffic, lost it. It's loose and picked up by Marshall. Marshall going in off balance is Fay. And what do we have? The officials, they're calling a foul on Wright State.
I mean,
wow.
I'm sure we'll have a replay pop up here, but it's 80-74. And take a look again. A very aggressive play here. Puts the ball on the deck. 1, 2. I don't think that's a travel. I think that's a foul. I think the referee got it right.
Yep.
Pains me to say that.
But, so Fay will get the 1-and-1.
Yeah, fans not happy behind us, but we get the luxury of seeing the replay.
And he gets it.
Very athletic move. I mean,
83-74, a 9-point lead for the Hilltoppers. Now it's Calvin. Step back 3 ball is off. Rebound is tipped out front to Hubricks. Now Holden deep in the right corner. Holden finds Calvin under the bucket, puts it up and scores. He's got 31. Under 3 minutes to play, 83-76, Western Kentucky. McHenry takes it inside, into the corner. Colombe in traffic and an offensive foul. Welledge takes his second charge of the game. Colombe gets the personal, that's his 3rd. Player control foul, 9 team fouls on Western Kentucky.
Look at the replay
He
here.
put his shoulder right into him, didn't he?
Yeah, he just barreled his way in, and Welledge actually put really good defense on that. I mean, he kind of opened up, he closed out, and kind of invited him in a little bit. The help side came over, and he was able to draw that contact. Big possession here for the Raiders offensively, 2:44 to go.
Ray Calvin back out to Brandon Knoll, sets up for 3, short.
Man, they just can't get a shot to fall from outside.
Raiders 3 for 15 on threes tonight. McHenry strong to the bucket. Little floater off the rim. Rebound comes down to Knoll, to Tanner Holden.
Lander back in the game, by the way.
Holden, Hubricks underneath the bucket. Hubricks fadeaway jump shot, got it, he's fouled. Alex Hubricks showing a little emotion after the bucket. Clock stops with 2:19 to play. The Raiders down 5, and Hubricks will get a free throw.
I said they're not able to get that 3-point shot to fall, but when you get 3-point plays like this, how about, by the way, Hubricks, Chris, the majority of the night, he's done a good job backing down defenders. You know, you don't really think of him as a back to the basket type of guy, but he's done a pretty good job tonight.
The officials are calling Western Kentucky back. They're trying to take it. This should be a delay of game, but I don't think they'll call it in this situation. There's a little confusion on how many fouls, but Steve Lutz used it to his advantage, basically using it as a timeout. Coach Nagy wants an explanation.
Western Kentucky has 3 timeouts remaining, Wright State with 1. We're done with the media timeout, so it's going to come down to the teams being selective with how they use their remaining timeouts.
Hubrick's a chance to cut the lead to 4, and he does. Hubrick's now with 12 to 18 to play.
Big game from him here tonight. Crowd on their feet.
McHenry off the high ball screen, takes it inside, lost it. Ball loose, stripped out of there by Knoll. Over to Calvin. 2 minutes to play. Calvin works against the bigger Marshall. Calvin going inside, off balance, floater rolls off. Marshall the rebound. Up the left side to McHenry. McHenry back to Jackson. Gonna run some clock. 1:45, 83-79 Hilltoppers. And a timeout call by Steve Lutz. A 30-second timeout. Stops the clock with 1:41 remaining. Reset now. The arrow belongs to Western Kentucky. Both teams are in the bonus. Next foul on Wright State. 1-1 for Western Kentucky. And timeouts, just 2 left now for Western Kentucky.
Yeah, Trey Calvin again. I mean, he would love to get this shot to fall. He's hit so many acrobatic, amazing shots tonight. Couldn't get that one to fall. Chris, man, he gets that one to fall. It's a 1-possession game after trailing by 8 with just over 2 minutes and some change to go. But give Wright State credit. Every time Western Kentucky has started to pull away in the final moments, they've been able to hit some clutch shots, and Hubrick's has been a big part of that. Trey Calvin, obviously. But right now, it's coming down to how they play defense coming out. Western Kentucky has actually been really good. 3 of their last 4 timeouts called, Chris, they have scored coming right out of the timeout. Coach Lutz has done a great job drawing up plays coming out of the timeout. Wright State has to get a stop here, but to the Hilltoppers' credit, they've been really good coming out of these TOs.
Trey Calvin's been really good tonight. 31 points, 13 for 22. He's made 1 3 on 4 attempts. The Raiders only 20% beyond the arc tonight. 3 out of 15. So Lander will inbound in front of his own bench with 18 on the shot clock. 1:40 remaining in the second half. Lander makes the catch on the wing against Hubrick. Gets a screen. Back over to Marshall. Marshall looks in for Fay, but he goes back out front to Lander with 7 to shoot. Lander in the corner. Jackson, 3. It's off. Rebound tipped around. Marshall puts it back up and in.
Man.
85-79 Hilltoppers. 1:15 to play.
Still 2-possession game.
Holden over to Knoll, back to Holden. Holden on the wing. Dribbling it inside against Fay. Under the bucket, throws it out to Hubrick. Hubrick in the corner, Holden. Holden, spin move, 10 feet away off the glass and in.
I like that shot from Holden. He got a lot of those looks in the first half. Chris, before he hit that,
Live sports.
Got it. It's a 1-possession game, and Trey Calvin trying to
any way possible. He could have taken off the dribble, got a high percentage look, but with Trey Calvin, Chris, even a 3-point shot is a high percentage look for him. Take a look here again, coming off that, not really a ball screen, but just enough to kind of rub the shoulder and get the shot off.
And Jackson had to lay off him. He's got 4 fouls.
Yep, I think that's why Trey knew that too and was confident he wasn't going to overly pursue and close out on that shot right there. But Chris, right now, look, they're not struggling to shoot the basketball. I mean, they're shooting 48%. Wright State is 51% for Western Kentucky. It's all coming down to the defensive end. This final 45 seconds is not about the shots for Wright State. It's about the stops. They have to get a stop coming out of this timeout because, once again, Western Kentucky very effective out of the TO.
You got Western Kentucky, McHenry with 30 tonight. Marshall has 20. They have been the 2 big-time scorers, and they're the guys they're going to go to right now because both teams, they've got the bonus right now. And for Wright State, they got to do something to stop, especially McHenry at the point. He's able to go off that high ball screen and pretty much take it all the way to the basket.
How about this matchup, Chris? I mean, I don't think we emphasized it enough coming into this. McHenry against Calvin. 34 points for Trey Calvin, 14 to 23 from the floor. 12 of 20 from the floor is McHenry with 30 points of his own. I mean, it's McHenry and Marshall going up against Calvin and Holden with great contributions from both respective supporting casts. This is one heck of a non-conference matchup. Western Western Kentucky, Wright State. Crucial play coming out of this timeout. 87-84, Hilltoppers over the Raiders with 45 seconds remaining. Wright State, Chris, needs a stop. I cannot emphasize that enough right now.
Well, the Raiders have only made 4 threes. That last one very timely for Trey Calvin on 16 attempts. That's something they came to this game second in the Horizon League, shooting 36% beyond the arc.
And it's something that usually comes within the flow of the offense, but when they're coming down having to jack those threes up, that's out of the flow of the offense right now. But whether it's Trey Calvin hitting the three or Tanner Holden with his back to the basket making some plays. And we also know Brendan Knoll could hit the three. I mean, they have really good shooters out on the floor. They just haven't been able to knock them down from the perimeter tonight.
Hubricks and Welledge have 1 each. We mentioned Calvin with 2. So Wright State setting up some pressure, 3-quarter court. Jackson will look to inbound. Has players coming towards it, gets it into McHenry in the backcourt. 42 seconds left, 3-point lead. McHenry dribbles the ball up against Calvin. Throws it over to Lander. Lander back over to Jackson. Jackson to McHenry with 17 to shoot. 30 seconds left in the half. Now McHenry, stop and go dribble into the corner around Knoll. Throws the ball back out to Fay. Now Lander with 8. Trying to create. Lander takes it inside. The runner with the right hand is good. He had some space and he got it to go. 89-84 Hilltoppers, 15 seconds remaining. Trey Calvin, stop and go dribble. Left hand layup attempt is blocked. And a foul in the backcourt. And after that play, the fans here at the arena get their jackets and are heading out to the exits.
Keep in mind, Wright State did not have a timeout remaining, so just a nice play right here again by Lander. They were patient. They used up all the shot clock. They wanted to leave as least amount of time as possible for Wright State, and he gets the layup to fall. And then, of course, Trey Calvin has his shot blocked at the other end. We had fans behind us yelling, "Call a timeout!" There was no timeouts remaining for Wright State.
Exactly. And Fay will go to the free throw line. 19 fouls on the Raiders, and he got the first, and he'll get another. He's got 4 points, 2 of them from the free throw line. So 30 tonight for McHenry, 20 for Marshall. On the other side of the ledger, Calvin with 34. Tack on 1 more for Fay. It's a 6-point lead with 10.4 seconds left. Inbounds pass to Calvin. Calvin, a deep 3 ball off the front of the rim. Picked up by Fay. Fay's just going to dribble the timeout. So Western Kentucky trailing by 3 at the half. They come back, shoot 55% in the second half. The Raiders 53%, but the difference, points off turnovers, 21 points off turnovers on 14 turnovers for Wright State. And the fast break points, a 24-2 advantage for the Hilltoppers in the win here tonight.
I mean, it's what we expected. We expected a high-scoring game. 2 teams that have struggled on the defensive end, that have been high-scoring on the offensive end, and unfortunately not able to get enough stops down the stretch defensively for the Raiders.
Final score here tonight at the Nutter Center. It was Western Kentucky 91 and Wright State 84. So not enough offense from the Raiders. Calvin with 34, Holden with 18. Hubricks, he had 12. But we mentioned McHenry with a big night tonight. He had 30, 12 and 20 from the floor, 3 of 6 from beyond the 3-point line as the Hilltoppers come away with their 4th consecutive win. They move to 8-3. The Raiders drop 2 games below 500 now at 4-6. So for Justin Kinner, Chris Collins saying so long from the Nutter Center on the campus of Wright State University. Final score, the Hilltoppers 91 and the Raiders 84. All games airing on ESPN Network, streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.